Chapter 5 of the Zamenix P-User Training Program, Performing Robotic RIRS. Zero adjustment for the ureteral access sheath force sensing. Before performing the zero adjustment, the ureteral access sheath should be undocked from the sheath holder. Press the US Force 0 button to initiate the zeroing process. During this process, the sheath holder must not be in contact with any external objects. When there is contact with an external object, it is similar to zeroing a scale with an item placed on it. After completing the zero adjustment, the ureteral access sheath is docked back into the home position of the sheath holder. After docking, check the force applied to the ureteral access sheath and finally adjust the robot so that this force is close to zero. If the status bar is pointing downward, the UAS is being pushed outward from the patient, and the position should be adjusted backward using the touchpad. If the status bar is pointing upward, the UAS is being pulled inward toward the patient, and the position should be adjusted forward. In case of forward movements or larger adjustments, it is recommended to separate from the sheath holder and readjust for safety. However, the operator may also use the touchpad for adjustments at their discretion, with careful attention to safety. Operation methods of surgical instruments. To manipulate the ureteroscope, operate the URS handle or press buttons on the tool handle. For operating the surgical tools, use the wheel or trigger on the tool handle. Gimbal manipulation method to control the ureteroscope. By manipulating the gimbal structure of the URS handle, control the forward-backward movement, deflection, rotation, and complex movements of the ureteroscope. The gimbal can only be operated while the clutch is pressed. The wheel control method to control the ureteroscope. By manipulating the wheels on the URS handle, control the forward-backward movement, deflection, and rotation of the ureteroscope. When operating the vertical wheel, the mode change button on the tool handle must be pressed to switch between forward-backward movement and deflection. The joystick operation method to control the ureteroscope. By manipulating the joystick on the URS handle, control the forward-backward movement and rotation of the ureteroscope. Control of surgical tools. By rotating the wheel on the tool handle, the surgical tool can be moved forward and backward. Using the trigger on the back of the tool handle opens and closes the basket. Stone exploration. To enter the kidney, Manipulate the URS handle to move the ureteroscope through the ureteral access sheath. Utilizing the auto-translation function on the tool handle, advance the ureteroscope to the distal end of the ureteral access sheath. Stone exploration and path recording. Maneuver the URS to enter the kidney, observe the interior, and locate stones. Inside the kidney, the direction guidance function assists the user in recognizing orientation within the internal structure. After approaching the stone's location, the user can press the Save Position button on the monitor screen to save the path to that specific position, such as upper pole, mid pole, lower pole, UPJ, and so on. When UPJ is saved, the reference point on the ureteroscope forward-backward status GUI is updated. Stone fragmentation with the laser. Move the URS to the appropriate position and use the Change Tool function to rotate the UMP. Attach the laser fiber holder to the slave robot. Confirm laser fiber attachment via the icon on the monitor screen and check the forward and backward movement of the laser fiber using the wheel on the tool handle. After approaching the stone by manipulating the URS handle, aim the laser fiber at the stone. Step on the pedal to activate the laser and fragment the stone. The respiration synchronization function can be used to reduce the impact of kidney movement caused by breathing. Make sure that the respiration rate and inspiration-expiration ratio match the ventilator settings. Adjust the movement of the ureteroscope according to the kidney's motion by touching the plus or minus buttons. Stone removal using the basket. Move the URS to the appropriate position and use the Change Tool function to rotate the UMP. Remove the attached laser fiber holder and install the basket. Check the basket attachment status through the icon on the monitor screen and use the wheel and trigger on the tool handle to control the forward and backward movement, as well as the opening and closing of the basket. Manipulate the ureteroscope to approach the stone and use the basket to capture it. Press the Size Guide button to compare the captured stone with the internal diameter of the UAS in advance. Move the ureteroscope into the ureteral access sheath, then use the Eject function to extract the stone. Open the basket to complete the stone removal. Repetition of stone removal using the basket. Manipulate the ureteroscope to reapproach the location of the stone. If there is a previously saved path, use the Load Position function for automatic movement to the target location. Cleaning up the robot after surgery. Remove the surgical instruments in the reverse order of their attachment. Detach the surgical tools from the tool coupler of the UMP. Detach the ureteroscope from the URS coupler of the UMP. Finally, detach the ureteral access sheath from the sheath holder of the UMP transporter. Separation of the slave robot. Use the touchpad on the slave robot to release the brake. Then grasp the handle and move it away from the patient. Chapter 6 of the Zamenix P User Training Program, Product Arrangement. Shutdown and storage. Before shutting down and storing the product, remove the drape assembly by taking it off in the reverse order of installation. The parking mode can be selected as needed. From the menu screen, press the parking button and then press the clutch to switch the slave robot to parking mode. To log out of the account, press the Logout button. To shut down the system, press the Shutdown button. To power off, turn the power switches on the master console, the slave robot, and the rear panel from on to off. Finally, disconnect and organize the cables. After use, wipe the powered-off master console and slave robot with a dry cloth to remove any foreign substances. Step on the release pedal of the casters to release the wheels of the master console and the slave robot so that they become mobile. Grab the handle to move to the designated storage location. No waste other than sterile disposable items is produced during the operation of the Zamenix P. Chapter 7 of the Zamenix P User Training Program. Additional information. Check, input, and modify the surgery plan by selecting the plan lists on the screen. Enter a new surgery plan using New Plan or modify an existing one using Edit Plan. In the Operation History section, find videos or images captured during surgery. A list of saved operations is displayed. Select the desired record and click the Next button to view the details. On the right side of the screen, a list of captured videos and photos is shown in thumbnail format. Click on the desired thumbnail to view the detailed record on the left side of the screen. Chapter 8 of the Zamenix P User Training Program, Troubleshooting. Transitioning from robotic surgery to conventional techniques. If a situation arises that requires conversion to open surgery or immediate access to the patient, perform the following steps to remove the system from the patient. 1 by 1, extract the surgical tools and ureteroscope from the patient. Next, disconnect the ureteral access sheath from the robot. If needed, release the brake on the slave robot and move it away from the patient. Warning message and appropriate action. System messages are displayed as follows. They appear in pop-up windows or message boxes. When a pop-up window appears, product operation stops immediately, and the device cannot be operated until the issue is resolved. The color of the indicator light varies depending on the severity of each error. The emergency button on the master console is currently activated. Once the issue is resolved, release the emergency button. The emergency button on the slave robot is currently pressed. Once the issue is resolved, release the emergency button. The drape coupler is either not attached or improperly attached. Check the drape installation status. There is an error in the communication connection between the master console and the slave robot. Check the connection of the communication cable, and if this error occurs repeatedly, please restart the system. An error has occurred in the robot driving part. The system will automatically begin recovery. After the error occurs, wait approximately 10 to 20 seconds. Then click the Try Recover button. If this error occurs repeatedly, please restart the system. This error may occur if the robot is misaligned due to a collision with surrounding objects or an obstruction. Check for any objects in contact with the robot. If this error occurs repeatedly, please restart the system. If the same error occurs repeatedly within a short period, the following message will appear. In this case, restart the system or contact an engineer for assistance. The next one is a caution message. If the ureteral access sheath is under significant force, check the icon to determine the direction of the force. It is currently being pulled. The ureteral access sheath should be repositioned further inside. The ureteral access sheath is being pushed. The ureteral access sheath should be repositioned further outward. The mounted surgical tool is exposed, making it impossible to use the auto-translation function. At this time, the orange bar on the left, indicating the insertion depth of the surgical tool, will start blinking. The ureteroscope is either not attached or improperly attached. Please check the installation status of the ureteroscope. This message appears when the movement distance of the ureteroscope is nearly at its limit. For reference, the maximum entry distance of the ureteroscope is 700 millimeters. This message indicates a low frame rate of the endoscopic video. Check the video cable. This message indicates that the storage space is full. To use the recording or capture functions, delete previous saved files. This message appears when there is an error with the capture function. Contact the engineer when it occurs repeatedly. This message appears when there is an error with the recording function. Contact the engineer when it occurs repeatedly. The end.